Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, I apologize in advance that this is the first video from me you might watch, because today we'll be discussing bestiality a second time and how zoophiles on Twitter and TikTok lately are posting about their attraction to animals out in the open. Two recent cases that made local news in two respective states got me worried that this is becoming a bigger problem, but one in particular has gotten people debating why this deviance is allowed to roam free. This case involves a 19-year-old girl named Denise Frazier who was arrested in April after a resident complained to a sheriff's department in Mississippi. The complaint stated that they found a multitude of videos of her on Snapchat getting intimate with a male dog. Ugh. Under questioning, Denise said she was forced to make these videos, but the police didn't find any evidence to support that claim. Her bail was set to $25,000, but shortly into this month, it appears that she has been released from jail and had taken to Twitter to get her name cleared. The account's now suspended, thank God, but I am able to view a majority of her tweets through Wayback Machine. Thank goodness it took snapshots of the few tweets that I needed to work with. Many of them consist of bizarre claims that she did nothing wrong before going on to brag about her actions. She compares herself to Harriet Tubman and the women persecuted during the Salem witch trials to make it sound like she is leading a revolution to legalize bestiality. This to me reveals that she has a huge martyr complex. It's pretty much the same with the kind of teachers that don't see anything wrong with having slept with their students and are in tears that their teaching licenses have been flushed down the toilet. I first heard about the case while I was aimlessly scrolling through Twitter when I came across a 17-second video of Denise seemingly under distress on camera. I checked it out and the tweet stated, "I have been reading these mean comments and I'm sick of it. Be nice or I will get mad." My immediate reaction was to ask, why? What happened? Users that replied to this tweet were supportive of this girl. That's great that she has a crowd to console her, but nope. No. I found that some of the replies started to become erotic and have been discussing dogs and a little bit about horses in a sexual manner. A 5-second peek at Denise's bio and a couple of her tweets got me seeing why there were nasty comments, and suddenly, I didn't give a fuck that she was upset. Her hurt feelings are not my problem. She already has 2 criminal charges against her, and the authorities have crystal clear evidence that she preys on dogs. So she should worry less about getting mad at me and worry more about how her online activity might reflect poorly on her in court. She can't just send hate comments to me and other YouTubers covering her case and not expect investigators to catch her potentially violating her bond. As a matter of fact, she shouldn't be posting online anyway. A law firm in California has an article on its website advising against it because during a criminal case, your social media accounts are monitored by authorities to look for additional evidence that could harm your case. Setting your account to private won't stop them from looking into your posts because they can subpoena them from social media sites if they'll need to. I don't see Denise setting any of her accounts to private because she's open with expressing her desires. She's aware that they are immoral. She's aware that she has people that support her. But is certain that embracing her desires somehow makes her a patriot. I doubt that taking pride in animal abuse is an act of bravery. Savagery is a stronger, accurate word to describe them because animals, of course, cannot consent. Let's look at a few tweets that stood out to me and a couple of videos Denise uploaded on one of her TikTok accounts before we get to the article that WSAZ News Channel 3 published to determine how poorly they could reflect on her. I'm not going to check out all of her tweets individually because they're so repetitive that there's no need for me to stress that she's revolting. Oh my god. Denise tweeted on June 7th, "When I first got arrested, they had the nerve to bring a German Shepherd. I don't know if they were trolling me. It did excite me though."
I really hate humans!
Do you know how when an officer places you under arrest and they read out your rights by telling you have the right to remain silent, anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law? I mentioned a few moments ago that Denise went on a Twitter crusade to prove her innocence herself, but that tweet got me thinking, what the hell is she even trying? For her to tweet about getting excited to be in the same room with a German Shepherd after she was found allegedly abusing one on camera is not quite innocent. She's telling the public at large and possibly the authorities taking into her social media that she's proud of it and she knows what she did was not just illegal but immoral. She's sending a clear message that when she gets out of jail, she's willing to get intimate with another dog even if it means getting sent back. which I hope will happen because no pet should be living in that kind of home. About 3 days earlier, Denise tweeted, "Good morning, I went to church, not trying to say I'm better than y'all, but I'm saved." Just for curiosity's sake, what church would welcome her? Funny that you say you're a Christian and that God saved you, Denise, because the Old Testament in the Bible condemns bestiality. Sadly, a revised edition of Leviticus also condemns homosexuality, but dig a little deeper in an older edition by reading specific verses involving incest. You'll find that originally, homosexuality was only forbidden if the intimacy was done between two same-sex relatives. Homosexual relationships were not uncommon in ancient society, and the revision in Leviticus was written to hide it from medieval scholars. Even in the LGBT+ community, bestiality is frowned upon for good reason because one community relies on consent, the other does not. It's despicable that conservative politicians in both the United States and Russia portray them along with maps as one and the same to call for oppressive laws intended to overturn LGBT+ rights. Here on June 8th, Denise posted a throwback tweet with a link to a video she made on TikTok back in February that I found to be incriminating. It was a compilation of clips featuring her dogs along with a couple shots of her holding two vibrators in her hand. The tweet stated, "I made this after church. It was low-key advertisement, even one of my dogs twerked." The video is exactly what it looks like, so I'm going to issue a trigger warning for animal abuse before we see it for ourselves. Actually, the dog you might be referring to that was on the edge of your bed was wagging its tail. It was most likely thinking, "Yay, my master's home, I'm gonna go for a walk," because I've seen dogs do that whenever they stare at a person that's not their owner and know it's not in a sexual way. They're overexcited to meet someone new, or they're thinking that person will feed them a biscuit. The fact that Denise thinks this gesture one of her dogs did means that it finds her attractive is plain idiotic. That reminds me, a profound but subtle detail I noticed in Denise's TikTok and Instagram posts is that she doesn't feature the same dogs more than one to a few times. There's almost always a different dog on camera in her posts. I lost track of how many she has after seeing 5 of them where there's a dog with her. That got me asking myself, are these dogs properly cared for? Where is she adopting all of them? Whether they are her dogs, her friends, or neighbors is anyone's guess, but I'm at a loss for words that they would trust her with them. I'd be shocked if they knew what was going on before her arrest. If they aren't letting Denise near their pets after all, I have a theory on where she still has the means to adopt them, and it's ghastly, so be prepared. There was a post I stumbled across a while ago on either Korra, Reddit, or an obscure forum that there are black markets for zoophiles to adopt or trade their animal companions, in case shelters have them blacklisted, rightfully so. I believe Denise has allegedly gotten the dogs in their videos at one of these markets, but unless the sheriff's office handling the investigation can confirm or deny it, I can't say that the notion is definitive. It can also supposedly explain why Denise has made up to 6 accounts on Instagram and 7 of them on TikTok. 2 respective accounts on both sites had the usernames DaddyIssues601 and LoveHorses09, which, considering the allegations against her, I found to be off-putting and incriminating as well. It seems to hint that she's attracted to more than just dogs and that her father is allegedly a sicko himself. This was elaborated on in a tweet that Denise posted where her father groped her when he hugged her. That could potentially mean she was raised in a toxic environment, and the way she takes it out on her pets helps her feel accepted and less lonesome. Oh boy, I finished typing the script for this video over the weekend when I noticed that Denise started posting on that account again. Yikes! We updated our community guidelines to keep TikTok safe, inclusive, and welcoming for everyone. How? I don't see it because why is that account still here? My head was spinning in circles looking for her legitimate accounts on Instagram and TikTok, but it looks like the multiple accounts were made before her arrest in order to remain as discreet as possible, or in case one of them got banned. I don't know how long she can keep this up now that her face is all over the internet and local news. Hopefully, animal shelters in the area and surrounding counties have her blacklisted, because I know people who have been in trouble for abusing children are not allowed to adopt another kid. So where Denise kept getting the dogs that she features in her videos is up for discussion. And speak of the devil, she actually uploaded a video on that account on my right back in October where she expressed frustration over not being famous. When you're just trying to be famous and it doesn't work, like, damn it, at least I tried. P.S. Dick Wolf. Beware what you wish for, Denise. You just may get it. This leads us to the case that WSAZ News Channel 3 reported that made Denise's name. Officials have released new details about a case in Mississippi in which they say a 19-year-old woman had sex with a dog on multiple occasions. Denise Frazier was arrested Wednesday and charged with unnatural intercourse, aggravated cruelty of an animal. During her initial court appearance Thursday, a judge set Frazier's bond at $25,000. She is also ordered to stay away from animals until after her trial. That's good news. If found guilty, Frazier could spend up to a decade in prison. According to the affidavit, Jones County Sheriff's Deputy Regina Newton received information on Tuesday about a woman having sexual intercourse with a dog. The sex acts were caught on Snapchat videos. According to the initial investigation, Newton was able to identify Frazier as the suspect, the report said. Newton located Frazier at a residence in Laurel. The affidavit said Frazier admitted she was the one in the video, but she said she had been forced to participate. The affidavit said Newton received several more videos of Frazier having intercourse with a German Shepherd. Newton saw a German Shepherd at the residence when she arrived to question Frazier. Officials said 3 separate dogs were seen on video and all animals are now in a safe place getting medical help. I'm glad. I feel horrible for the poor little guys and I hope that they got the treatment that they needed. Frazier also said that the videos were taken a year ago. However, screenshots of iCloud shared photos of the videos showed a range of dates between February 23rd and 28th of this year. Investigators said their findings led them to believe Frazier willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously had sexual intercourse with one or more domesticated animals, one being a male German Shepherd, and recorded the intercourse via an electronic device on or about the aforementioned dates. Her Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok accounts are more than enough to second their findings. The sheriff's office said some videos may have been made in other counties. Those counties have been alerted and more charges may be added. Lead investigator Sergeant J.D. Carter told WDAM they found no evidence that Frazier was forced to make the videos. Duh! Disturbing, extremely disturbing videos that I can't even wrap my head around it, Carter said. I wouldn't understand the mindset that would even drive somebody to do that. The claim of being threatened and forced to conduct those videos, as she claimed, there's no evidence to be found supporting that idea, and yeah, we did look into it. Carter said he's never worked on a case like this before. There are really no true words to describe it other than disgusting, Carter said. You and me both, Carter. You and me both. The Sun published a separate article about the case on April 10th that went into a little more detail about the circumstances that led to Denise's arrest. I loathe the Sun immensely, but this article summarizes one of Denise's TikTok videos word for word, and it rehashes the information that WSAZ News Channel 3 reported, so it's somewhat sound. Disturbing case. Denise Frazier launches foul-mouthed tirade in TikTok video and denies having sex with a dog outside Mississippi church. A popular TikToker accused of having sex with a dog has denied the allegations in a crass rant on the platform. Denise Frazier, 19, was arrested by police in Mississippi on animal cruelty charges last week. In my 17 years in law enforcement, this is one of the most disturbing cases that I've ever investigated, said Sergeant J.D. Carter of the Jones County Sheriff's Department. For all those bitches who have some nerve to say, I fucking my dog, like, nah, Frazier wrote over a clip posted to her account in February. "The only dog I fucked was your boy, so stop saying it if it ain't true," she said. "Only my true friends would stick up for me. All I have to say is, fuck yeah, MFer. Ew." It's not clear if Frazier has entered an official plea at this point. Police said they've obtained videos of the abuse distributed on Snapchat, and many commentators on Frazier's clip reported that they've seen them. Glad I can agree with the son for once. Because what Denise did, allegedly, is animal abuse. Frazier hasn't posted anything to her account since February 24th, 9 days after her rant was uploaded. If she's convicted, the TikToker could face up to a decade in prison. Last week, police said they believe the clip of the alleged crime was filmed in a parking lot outside the Freedom Baptist Church in Frazier's hometown of Myrick, about 40 miles northwest of Heidelberg. It features Frazier and a male canine, police said, but they haven't released many other details. Jones County Sheriff's Department is in possession of several videos that are so graphic that we are not at liberty to release them or even discuss the particular content, Carter said. The investigation into this case is far from over. Frazier has claimed she was threatened to do it and forced into the disturbing act by people who pay her to make sexually explicit videos, according to court documents. There is no evidence of that claim, but we are investigating it, Jones County Sheriff's Department Investigator Sergeant J.D. Carter told the local outlet. Working in law enforcement means you'll be exposed to some conditions that aren't for the faint-hearted. Just completing a task as simple as writing a driver a ticket can quickly get ugly because an officer is trained to have to assume the worst and they can never tell what that person could be carrying or thinking. Lately, there have been several motor vehicle accidents in the area I'm from since January, and the stress officers are under from investigating the scenes and breaking the news to the victims' families is immeasurable. Being exposed to societal turmoil on the job daily comes with the territory. If you're an officer that worked in the profession for 17 years and you say that a case is utterly one of, if not the most disgusting you had to be on, that says a lot about the perpetrator. So it looks like the police have their work cut out for them in this investigation. As of this recording, no new update has been made to the case. It's not certain if Denise is going to receive the maximum jail sentence specified, which I pray will happen because it's sickening to think about what she allegedly put her dogs through, but we have a clearer understanding that the authorities are still looking into it. The fact that Denise hasn't uploaded any new videos yet has tweeted about her innocence has gotten one user on Reddit questioning if it's actually her. Why they posted about their skepticism on a subreddit dedicated to game streamer Destiny, I had no clue. I thought it was because Denise tweeted a screenshot of her eagerly hitting on him on Instagram, but then after I found an earlier tweet where Destiny quote tweeted her, I was like, oh, I see, they had a prior interaction. The individual on Reddit argued that they spotted slight changes in her appearance that seemed artificial and that another girl used deepfake technology to make herself resemble Denise in videos she uploaded to Twitter prior to her suspension. The post was then edited to clarify that it was actually Denise that had been tweeting at the beginning of this month, and another Redditor left a comment pointing out that a selfie she tweeted was taken on the same day in the same room as one from another angle she posted on Instagram. Furthermore, they noticed that Denise had a pattern of crooked teeth on her lower jaw that matched how it looked in a separate selfie and the video where she was dancing to rap music like a ballerina. The comment that got the skeptical Redditor to revise their post with that update reads as follows. You made a comment about her eyebrows, but that was taken on the same day in the same room with different angles. But she could have leaked that photo somewhere, not sure, so I kept digging. Thing that is harder to fake. The hand in the example 3 looks exactly the same as the hand here, real Denise, which is rare but not impossible, so I kept looking. This quote-unquote fake Denise, not safe for work, and this real Denise were taken on the same day in the same room with slightly different angles, but she could have leaked that photo somewhere, so I focused on the quote-unquote new Denise versus the old one. Seems kind of repetitive. Lastly, I saw how fucked the lower teeth of fake Denise were, and I only had to find if the real Denise has any videos that match those teeth, cause the real teeth are impossible at fake at the level with deep fake. I almost got tongue-tied reading that. And what do you know? I wasted half an hour of my life cause of your stupid post. She has the exact same pattern of crooked teeth in these links I posted. Too long, didn't read, she's real. Here's a preceding comment that was posted that made a lot more sense, mainly because I can read it easier and it gives some explanation about how she allegedly got internet access. The person behind the Twitter account is another woman who is also known to have intercourse with dogs. This woman got into contact with Denise and bailed her out, bought her a phone, paid her credit card debt, tickets, and is trying to convince her to fly her out of the country. But Denise wants to fight this losing case, so now this woman is trying to reimburse these expenses and raise a fund to hire her a lawyer. She's getting content from Denise and reselling it. All the verification videos is Denise, but this woman is posting as her on Twitter to troll and go viral. She also has access to her Snapchat and OnlyFans. Funny but not important, during all this, Denise tried to adopt a male intact dog from a shelter, but this woman had to convince her not to, considering everyone in her hometown knows her and what she did. That and animal shelters hopefully have blacklisted her. Source, I'm in the Telegram chats because I'm a degen. Nothing good ever happens on Telegram. I believe that some combination of the events described in both comments are true because who else out there can afford to pay Denise's bail? I do think it's actually her that has recorded the videos that were posted on her Twitter account, but if it's true there's someone else helping her out, they likely tweeted her recycled content on her behalf to grow her audience. What a lawyer can do for Denise at this point when there's graphic evidence against her that the sheriff's department is not at liberty to release and discuss to the public is hinder them from questioning her further, and probably use the "my client was forced to make these videos" narrative to convince the prosecution to go easy on her. There's no telling how the tweets on Denise's now suspended account will hold up when she's back in court, but they have done nothing to help her alibi. I couldn't find anything myself that hinted she made the videos against her will, especially not in one separate video where she bragged, with conviction, that she slept with dogs since she was 13. Ugh. I know that might sound like she's a troll trying to get a rise out of viewers, and that could be the contingency, but it might make the authorities think that she lied to them about being threatened. Assuming Denise has indeed hired a lawyer with this woman's help, she has likely made it harder for them to defend her if they decide to stick to her alibi. It'll make her guilt irrefutable, and the funds raised to fight the charges she's facing would be all for nothing. Like I said, I hope the court gives Denise the maximum jail sentence to ensure she doesn't hurt another dog again. For now, I'm just relieved that the dogs that were with her at the time of her arrest have gotten help and have hopefully been adopted into a loving home. Speaking of adoption, the Instagram account Denise is allegedly active on posted a dog video with suggestive emojis in the caption for the first time since her arrest. It took me by surprise because she was given a court order to stay away from dogs, as the article on WSAZ News Channel 3 reported beforehand. I was about to assert that there's no way she can avoid returning to jail for violating that order until I saw 3 comments claiming that an ex hacked into the account. After looking over Denise's now suspended Twitter page and that post on Reddit, I find it hard to believe. However, these claims must be taken with a spoonful of salt because we don't know shit about the true story behind these accounts. Coverage of Denise's current activity, on screen or not, are widely fluctuating, but the thought of Denise getting let off the hook and is adopting dogs despite the charges against her is scary. Then we have Artix Entertainment's favorite zoophile, Sirius, coming out in support of Denise in a reply to the video where she was crying on camera over the backlash towards her. The reason for my sarcastic introduction of this section is because they have the title AQW Guest Artist listed in their Twitter bio. An older, experienced player in that community might come across their handle and easily make out that they're not affiliated with the team, but a younger, naive player who's new to Twitter won't be able to observe that, and it's how Sirius can easily gain that player's trust. I really appreciated how Jessica Vanel went over why the Disney parks don't allow visitors to dress up as the characters, because the same situation can occur if a kid approached a visitor in a Rapunzel cosplay and the interaction wasn't as magical as they had hoped.
If you're wondering why adults can't wear costumes to Disney on normal days, it's because of a couple key reasons: character integrity and safety. Disney already has characters that you can meet when you go to their parks, and when it comes to those who are older, we can look at someone dressed up as Cinderella and say, that's not really Disney Cinderella, but a young kid might not be able to make that distinction. When it comes to character integrity, if a little kid were to run up to someone who they thought was the character, and that person said something out of character, they were rude to the kid, or they cussed in front of the kid, I don't think Disney wants to deal with those guest complaints. Of course, even at the most magical place on earth, if someone were to come in dressed up as a character with bad intentions, they could easily gain the trust of a kid, and you never know what could happen. So that is why people who are above the age of 14 can Disney bound instead of dressing up in costume and still feel like they're part of the magic and have fun at the parks.
It's a liability for both companies for allowing that to happen, regardless of their knowledge of the impersonation, and while many gaming companies have draconian policies on scammers passing off as staff, it's not as enforced by AE, even in-game. To be realistic, neither Onyx Entertainment nor the Disney parks have control over user activity on Twitter and other social media sites, but the former silence when there's a specific individual with a large following claiming to be affiliated with the company that's tweeting graphic content about sleeping with animals is alarming. It's not the first time the studio's silence landed them in hot water with their fanbase. In summer 2019, Drew Dreshno was arrested on federal child sex-related charges. Soon afterwards, Onyx Entertainment removed every mention of him from their sites, including blog posts, official wiki entries, and nixing his NPC from Adventure Quest Worlds. Players were quickly disturbed when they discovered the accusations against him. It was common knowledge that the CEO and Drew shared a tight-knit relationship, and the latter was featured in promotional material because of that relationship. Onyx Entertainment's failure to put out a statement about the arrest caused apprehensions in the community to escalate. To claim that they were complicit with Drew's actions is too big of a conclusion to jump to because player safety is their top priority at the end of the day, but from a PR standpoint, the lack of a statement looks incredibly sour. NBC Universal and American Ninja Warrior's producer commented on the accusations by straight up stating they severed ties with him and stressed that the brand does not condone them. What's holding Onyx Entertainment back from putting out a similar statement back then? For a company that values transparency, or the lack thereof transparency, it's neglectful in living up to it. Best case scenario, AE probably said something about it behind closed doors, and members of the team were forbidden from commenting on it publicly. For the past several years, we've seen again and again that players and volunteer staff were punished severely for inappropriate conduct, but when it comes to being personal friends with the CEO, the punishment is a lot softer. Just for the record, I don't hate the company. I think they tend to cut corners to earn back respect whenever they're under fire. Now you see him, now you don't. Who was Drew again? We never heard of that guy. It's also worth noting that some zoophiles use the Greek letter zeta to identify themselves to other zoos without indicating out in the open that they are that kind of people because of the disturbing, taboo nature of the subject, even in academic research. Let's have a look at what Sirius has been up to lately, shall we? On June 10th, Delusional Takes posted a screenshot of a zoo that tweeted, "Being a zoo feels less of a deviation from normal attractions and more so just not caring what species someone is. People come in all shapes and sizes, so why are you drawing the line at members of your own species? It just feels like human exclusive attraction is the deviation." Shouldn't take a brain to figure out why Delusional Takes posted that screenshot. Sirius replied, "How is that a delusional take? It's completely natural for animals to find attraction to each other, regardless of species."
No!
PETA would disagree based on their statement on bestiality that they put out on June 21st, 2016, and besides, you lost me at regardless of species. The statement reads, "Consensual sex is between two human beings who enter into it willingly, and that is never the case when an animal is dominated by a human. Having sex with an animal is R-wording that animal, something PETA has found in numerous eyewitness exposés of factory farms and slaughterhouses. Animals don't have a choice, and cruelty to animals is illegal in all 50 states. So there you have it. That's the reason why Delusional Takes posted that screenshot. Then we have the P-Brain declaration that zoophilia is a sexuality and that anyone that says it's criminal to get intimate with an animal are bigots that should get over themselves, which it isn't because psychiatrists classify it as a paraphiliac disorder. This is by far the most unhinged argument that I've seen Sirius, or a zoophile for that matter, make in favor of advocating to normalize their desires, and it's another instance of the victim complex. Zoophilia is not to be equated with being gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender because a zoophile has urges to act on a desire to hurt the animal, whereas both straight and LGBT plus couples can give consent. An animal cannot understand nor decide without force if they will allow sex with a partner, while two human adults can make that decision themselves in the bedroom. A dog pouncing on your lap and licking a part of your body as if you taste like bacon does not mean they are giving consent. Wagging their tails when they look at you and allowing you to pet them doesn't count either. A zoophile has a preference to seek personal pleasure in putting the animal in harm's way. Ignoring the ethical issues that come with engaging in bestiality, that type of satisfaction is selfish on the abuser's part because the animal, victim to be exact, is going to come out of the act feeling ill. But it can also cause the abuser to potentially contract rabies or worse, leptospirosis. This disease can cause meningitis, an inflammation of membranes surrounding the brain and spinal cord that has killed patients in 10% of cases. Dr. Avar, a Nigerian-based medical professional, was interviewed last year during a rise of TikTok videos promoting bestiality reportedly filmed in the country last year. He expressed concerns it might instigate another zoonotic disease outbreak that could spread worldwide. He stressed that practicing bestiality with some animals can cause penile cancer, which can decimate your immune system. His claim is backed by an article written by science journalist Jennifer Abbasty in 2011. She wrote that the risk of contracting STDs are higher in men that get intimate with animals than those that don't. She cited a study in Brazil that 118 penile cancer patients have participated in, where 45% of them reported to have engaged in the act. In addition, Tobias Kohler, a urologist from the Southern Illinois University School for Medicine, praised the study for providing insight into cancer prevention and allowed professionals to gather data on diseases caused by bestiality. He wasn't involved with the study, but he stated that the female genitalia in humans has moisturizing effects that prevent penile injury, while a dude getting intimate with an animal might risk cutting or scratching their junk, allowing cancer-causing pathogens in the animal's genitals to be easily transmitted. When penile cancer spreads to other parts of the body, it's difficult for doctors to get rid of. On that note, based on Sirius's logic, medical professionals that have contributed to these articles and law enforcement that are involved in situations where bestiality has occurred are bigots because they're trying to save their companions from being abused by you. I don't see how that's oppressive, nor do I see how if it's done right it's harmless according to you, because it's not even close to harmless to both you and your companion. In a user's reply to Sirius's tweet where they expressed full support for Denise, they stated that they're supporting R-wording a dog. Exactly. Then Devil's Advocate, names accurate, replies, I don't support it, but what if a woman simply lays on her back and spreads her legs? If a dog proceeds of its own power to enter her, what does that even mean? It wouldn't be forced and therefore consensual. Then Sirius replied to that user, thank you for putting it into words, like it's obvious. Yep, they're the bad guy all right. To implicate that your pet is consenting because they initiated the act is sick. Dogs look to their owners, masters, companions, loved ones, partner, whatever floats your boat, as their alpha. An animal isn't going to figure out you want to get intimate with them on their own. They would need to be trained to do it if that's what it takes to satisfy their owners, even if it means they know they're going to get hurt. Dogs are raised to be at the mercy of humans, and a zoophile is more than comfortable with exploiting that. It's just like how a map would establish a bond with a child. The child won't figure out that the map communicating with them wants to sleep with them right away, but by the time they do, after a period of time, they won't be able to escape, and that can screw up their mental health. Neither a child nor an animal can fight back because of that bond their abusers have established with them. When it starts to sink in that dogs have the same mental capacity as a toddler, the similarities in these situations become grimmer. It's less obvious that dogs want to get intimate and you're just making excuses to keep abusing them. By calling this video and my video about Sirius back in March a hit piece against them, you're an animal cruelty apologist. There's nothing to say to support that bestiality is an ethical practice. It's torture to the animal or animals involved, and any so-called evidence that does comes from the delusion that it enjoyed it. In a grotesque act of irony, Sirius interacted with a prejudiced faux doctor that tweeted a resurfaced recording of Senator Thomas Cotton giving Attorney General Garland an earful during a hearing about an SA that took place in a school lavatory.
Was that directive being prepared before September 29th, before the School Board Association letter was issued?
I don't believe so. Certainly I didn't have any idea.
So it was only prepared okay, I think that answers the question.
I already answered that question
So you keep citing the school board letter and news reports.
Right.
One of the news reports cited in that letter, which you presumably mean, is from Loudoun County, Virginia.
No, that is not what I was talking about.
Well, you keep citing news reports, and that's the most prominent news report that anyone in America has seen. That refers to Scott Smith, whose 15-year-old daughter was raped. She was raped in a bathroom by a boy wearing girls' clothes, and the Loudoun County School Board covered it up because it would have interfered with their transgendered policy during Pride Month. And that man, Scott Smith, because he went to a school board and tried to defend his daughter's rights, was condemned internationally. Do you apologize to Scott Smith and his 15-year-old daughter, Judge?
Senator, anyone whose child was raped is the most horrific crime I can imagine, and is certainly entitled and protected by the First Amendment to protest to their school board about this.
But he was cited by the School Board Association as a domestic terrorist, which we now know that letter and those reports were the basis for your...
No, Senator, that's wrong.
Shameful. Judge, this is shameful. This testimony, your directive, your performance is shameful.
Okay, that's not...
Thank God you are not on the Supreme Court. You should resign in disgrace, Judge.
The doctor's vague description of the video in her tweet and its present tense wording had many transphobic users fooled. I was startled that a school board would allegedly cover for a perpetrator of an SA to safeguard its gender-fluid bathroom policy, until I found two respective articles about the story from the New York Times and a libertarian magazine that clarified that Senator Cotton is a fucking con artist. That politician and J.K. Rowling are the same person, I swear. It's horrific that the SA had occurred in the first place, and I am no way undermining what the victim had gone through. This wasn't her fault at all, but it won't do her story justice to turn it into a fear-mongering fairy tale for conservative politicians like Senator Cotton to use to advocate to pass more oppressive laws. Many SA incidents are perpetrated by someone the victim is familiar with, and this story is no different. The girl and her abuser were seeing each other, and they met up in that bathroom a few times before the assault happened. It occurred during one of those days they met up. That time the girl said no, and her abuser forced himself on her. Her father, Scott Smith, was understandably furious, so to ensure that no other student would suffer his daughter's fate, he took to the school board during a meeting to protest its bathroom policy. It didn't go into effect until the following August, but even if it did before then, the girl's abuser wouldn't need a reason to exploit it because he already knew her beforehand, and she wasn't a random girl that was ambushed while washing up at a sink in that lavatory. The abuser's sexual orientation and gender identity doesn't factor into his crime. Anyhow, Mr. Smith's protest against the policy got physical when he swore profusely at a mother and clenched his fist at her. County deputies were called to de-escalate his temper, resulting in him being dragged out bloodied and handcuffed. Afterwards, he was charged with disorderly conduct and was given a 10-day suspended jail sentence. Since then, he has been hailed as a mascot for the right wing to look up to as they advocate to further isolate the trans community. This story is incredibly sad, and I hope that the girl is doing alright. For her to have conservative news outlets hang this incident over her head must have been overwhelming, and it was probably harmful for her recovery because while she did testify at the juvenile court hearing, it's like Senator Tom Cotton has treated her not as a survivor, but as a puppet for him to use to push an agenda. Fortunately, nevertheless, her abuser got his comeuppance. He was found guilty at that hearing and was told he was not allowed to contact the girl again, so he was transferred to a different school. In the reply to the faux doctor that tweeted the clip to Senator Cotton, Sirius posted that we need to protect children from predators while posing as an actual danger to children and animals to stay on topic, not just by pretending to be affiliated with a family-oriented gaming company and tweeting about playing with themselves to their own recordings as mentioned earlier, but by using a 2-year-old SA incident as a ploy to incite hate toward the trans community. Come on now, Sirius, now who's the one being a bigot? The moral is, don't believe everything you read, especially if it's been reported on the Daily Wire. The aforementioned tweet that's at the bottom of the screenshot suggests that Sirius isn't above abusing an animal if the act turns them on. They may argue that love is love because it's Pride Month and they think zoophilia is a sexuality, but how can it be love if the animal can't reciprocate it? I really would like to know. This brings me to another recent case that I want to talk about that involved a man engaging in bestiality and consuming CP. Like how Mississippi authorities caught Denise Frazier, police have found this man abusing his mother's pet after investigating his Snapchat. What's with zoophiles and Snapchat? Whether or not he was using it for practice when he targets a literal kid is horrific to think about. But the evidence gathered contains clues that it could have been the next step the man planned to take if the police was not alerted. Their quick thinking slightly restored my faith in law enforcement. Let's dive into the article. A Northern Kentucky man has been sentenced to 20 years in prison on CP and bestiality charges, according to Kenton County Commonwealth Attorney's Office. Bennett Couch, 27, was sentenced in court Monday after pleading guilty earlier this year to 3 counts of distribution of matter portraying a sexual performance by a minor, 3 counts of possession of matter portraying a sexual performance by a minor, and 1 count of sexual crimes against an animal. The investigation began in July 2021 when Detective Brian Jones with the Kenton County Police Department received a cyber tip report from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which said 3 images of child SA material were uploaded by a specific Tumblr account. Jones identified the account as belonging to Couch. Jones obtained the contents of the reported Tumblr account and confirmed the 3 images reported by NCMEC had been reblogged by Couch on Tumblr. Jones also determined Couch shared additional images with disturbing captions and images. The investigation also discovered images with content or captions depicting bestiality. The investigation led Jones to search Couch's Snapchat account, which revealed photos and videos of Couch engaging in a sexual act with an animal. Jones identified the animal as a pet belonging to Couch's mother. Couch was indicted in November 2021, and in February 2022, Couch pleaded guilty as charged to 3 counts of possession or viewing of matter portraying a sexual performance by a minor, 3 counts of distribution of matter portraying a sexual performance by a minor, and 1 count of sexual crimes against an animal. When we have cases involving online child sexual exploitation or child SA material, we are always concerned that the offender may have personally perpetrated upon a child. In this case, we found out Couch started to act on these interests, except an animal was chosen instead of a child, but a child would likely have been next. Assistant Commonwealth Attorney Emily Arnson said, Couch must register for life as a sexual offender upon release, the attorney's office stated. The Commonwealth Assistant Attorney's comment on the case stems from a letter that the Humane Society of the United States sent to Vermont's General Assembly to approve of a state law that criminalized bestiality. In their list of reasons on why it should be illegal, they stated that SAing an animal is the single largest risk factor for going on to SA a child, based on a 2008 study that consisted of 44,204 adult men that were evaluated for sexual misconduct. Very few studies were done specifically on adult women that engage in bestiality because we've seen that reported less often. But it was long debated that disgraced adult entertainer Bodil Jorinson developed an attraction to dogs to cope with having grown up with a physically abusive mother that cut her off from being around other kids in rural Denmark. Still, I don't think gender here is important because many men that get intimate with animals also have had experienced isolation due to being abused themselves at a young age. That's not to claim that every zoophile will go after a kid, but like maps, their attraction to vulnerable creatures helps them feel in control. That's what happened with Bennett Couch and Denise Frazier's behavior and her interactions with Destiny, and when she spoke of him were pervy. You guys can let me know what you think of this nightmare fuel for pet owners in the comments. Thank you so much for watching if you made it to the end, and I'll see you when I talk about J.K. Rowling and boycotts against the Wizarding World franchise, because the debate over whether to continue enjoying it was a lot more to take in than I anticipated it would. Take care.
Go.